Hello, everybody. This is another Thursday PD out of Bangkok. My name is Ralph, and today we talk about hardware. And I'm happy to have James and Eric with me. And James, you take it off from here.
Yeah, I think hardware is one of those big things that we've got to think about the hardware that we use in our classroom, what's reliable, what works, what doesn't work. And I think educators largely use three platforms as far as I can tell. Windows 10, number one.
Hmm.
Number two, Mac OS, which is what I'm on.
Yeah.
And number three, Chromebooks. Um, those who are really ending more of an engineering or getting quite serious or university in computer science are probably going to look at Linux as well and those various platforms. So my school's a Mac school. I have to say that the ecosystem and the quality of the hardware is excellent. You do pay a premium for it, and obviously you do have quite a lot of configuration that people have to do behind the scenes. What do you two do? I'll go to Eric first, I guess.
Personally, I use Mac OS. My school actually offers both, depending
Right.
on teacher's preference and what they have available.
Oh, wow.
When at the time that I started, then they had PCs only available, and I
Hmm.
had a MacBook. And then I dropped my PC really hard right in front of the class,
Oh,
and
dear.
yeah, I swear, it like stood on one corner
Hmm.
and flattened it, and so in the time that it was being repaired, I had to use my own
Yeah.
computer. Since then, I've never stopped. I've just been using my own Mac, and I have the
Okay.
PC sort of available. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty behind, behind on using PCs these days.
Yeah.
But I'm just the Mac has just been really comfortable for me.
Sure.
And so people at my school, they have a preference for either one. And sometimes they
Hmm.
have the one that they like, sometimes they
Hmm.
don't. But yeah,
Yeah. That's right. That's interesting that you're a real mixed environment. You get pick and mix and see what you get.
totally. Yeah.
Okay. And you,
How about
Ralph,
you,
what are
Ralph?
you using?
Well, interesting enough, I was so fascinated by the idea of Chromebooks. The first real thin client, I think, really
Mm.
works. And so I have been now on a Chromebook for 4 or 5 years, and
Mm.
actually the TB3 CB 311 or something
He's got the
Mhm.
number one. Well done.
um,
Mhm.
just gave up on me, and they have also just dropped support, so it's out of life circle for
Wow.
Google. You don't get any updates
Yeah.
anymore. So it would be rather a good idea to let these machines run on Linux
Hmm.
with the Linux boot option. But that was only my private Chromebooks, which are that old. And
Hmm.
now I work at a school where we have one-to-one Chromebooks in
Okay.
middle school and high school. So I have the privilege of having my own Chromebook, which is an Acer Chromebook 15
Hmm.
C910,
Hmm.
which is, and I'm very, very happy and
Yeah.
excited about this, I can run APKs,
Oh,
Android
nice.
applications
Oh,
on it.
Hmm.
really nice. I mean, I
So
think that's a major step forward for Chromebooks, isn't it? That they
Hmm.
can actually run the Android apps.
as,
Also, Ralph,
sorry?
as a computer scientist, can I just say that they're not thin clients? They're
Uh,
thinnish, but
yeah.
they can run without the internet, whereas a thin
Hmm.
client could do nothing
Okay,
without the
okay.
internet.
Thank you for clarifying that. Um, what what I wanted to say is that for administrators in schools, these app capabilities might be of question there because
Mm,
students could install with their private accounts if you don't lock it to the school
hmm.
account exclusively.
Hmm.
Install their games on
Hmm.
the Chromebook,
Hmm.
and
Mm.
with the touchscreen ones, it would be a heck of a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I do think Chromebooks are much easier to administrate just because they can be wiped very, very quickly, right?
Yeah. It seems.
Um,
I've never. Our middle school. I'm in the high school. Our middle school has Chromebooks, and
mm,
so I've learned. I've heard, about how convenient they are as far as administration. I'm still pretty, pretty new to the whole thing. Really, way
mm,
way late to Chromebooks. So how what can you do without the internet? So you can install things that will stay unless it gets wiped, or you can install things.
Yeah,
Is
I
there,
mean,
Well,
just basic stuff you can do. You can take notes, you can do various
Mhm.
things. But, when you think about it, most of the activities that students want to do is
Mhm.
go on to things like Google Drive,
Right.
use Chrome. So that's really where the Chromebooks play strength. And I think if you need a vanilla
No.
device for research, typing up things, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, then you've got everything you need. Um, I'd say it does like 90% of the job, wouldn't you, in
Hmm.
terms of what you need to do?
well, I think that Chromebooks are still underestimated by many of
Mm,
users out there, and sadly enough, those are also power users, and it's fair enough. I myself crave a PC for Ableton audio software,
mm,
but it's surprising what is out there on APKs for Android.
mhm,
There's a very cheap digital audio workstation called Caustic, I
mm,
think,
Hmm.
and that's only about 10 or 12 US dollars,
mhm.
and you can do a lot of things, and that's also it runs offline. Yeah, you don't need.
Yeah. I mean, there's
So
APK. If you're using the Android apps, you don't need to be online, right?
it depends on the app. Some apps
Yeah, sure,
like
sure.
I don't know, Cookie Run, or
Mm.
they need to be online for collecting
But
points or something.
and the other thing, of course, is that because they're very generic, if a student needs a device, you can give them any device. They're
Yeah.
straight in. Um,
Chromebooks in schools, I really love the idea because the administrational hassle is so minimalized,
mm,
and viruses are non-existent on Chromebooks.
Mm.
So
not quite, I'm afraid. With Android functionality,
Mm.
the viruses can come back,
okay, but then I'm not sure
but they're dead easy
exactly.
to wipe. So if there's a problem,
I
wiped,
don't
job
know
done.
how the Android apps are executed on the Chromebook, if it's not their own virtual machine or not. So I have
Yeah,
to
I
look
mean,
into that.
they're probably the most, you know, in terms of administration, you can wipe that device like a piece of cake.
Yeah, I
Um,
have never
there,
had
there's no,
any big hiccups in my
yeah, and
career,
because
but we have
most
a
of it
very
is
sorry.
remote storage, there's almost nothing to it, is there? So, I mean, that is the reason why they're storming through the US right now,
Yeah.
because the US don't have massive amounts of tech support, so you can run those devices out, and your tech person probably needs to come out once in a while.
Well, it's there done by the school districts, so they
Yeah,
provide the Chromebooks, and probably there must be some staff which deals with handing out, and but the same staff which hands out the Chromebook can also basically reset it or just give them
yeah,
another one
that's
and
true.
give it
Mm.
to the tech support,
Mm,
which can be
mm,
a third party. Or
mm.
Yeah,
So,
I see that Sethi in Flip Classroom Tutorials in the comments, he says that he only uses his non Chrome device for video editing. So
yeah,
everything else is his Chromebook.
yeah, I
yeah,
think that's the key thing here is your Chromebook can't do video editing. That's probably the line. I think
it
Mm.
audio editing these days is a piece of cake. I
it
think,
can when you use online tools. These
yeah,
are paid
True.
tools. YouTube editor, the
but the
release of the
APKs for the your Android phone
Hmm.
definitely do everything you need audio wise.
Wow, cool.
Um, Video editing is a little harder. Um, I wouldn't fancy doing too much video editing, but for basic stuff that the kids are making, YouTube does a lot of the editing with its YouTube editor. So you can put the basics up there, and yeah, I think beyond that, you really need um, pro level tools, which require pro level investment in time, right?
I quickly go to the WeVideo website and look up
Mm.
the prices, but
Yeah, we
that
video's good.
that is
Also,
very professional, but it is not cheap.
yeah. What's the other one that's good and works well? Hang on, I have to look on my thing.
Um,
Uh, Let me check. I may be going with Quick. Quick is excellent and very quick to do.
How do you
but
But
spell
these are
that
that?
one,
apps for the phone, isn't it? That's
yeah,
not
it is an
online.
Android app, but it'll work on a
But do
Chromebook
you
that
know
supports the
any
Android app.
alternative which purely works online?
Uh, um, Spark Video is quite good, just for making
Yeah.
presentations. Let me think. Yeah, Spark Video is good.
How do you spell Quick? The Android Quick. How do you? Is it just like
QUIK? I think it's not quite spelled the
gotcha.
same as.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's made by the GoPro guys, I think. QUIK. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Spark Video is good.
So you can see the plans here for $4.99
Yeah.
per month.
Okay.
You can start, and
Yeah.
you get only 30 minutes published per month. So that's not much, but in HD, and for 8 you get unlimited videos in 4K.
And of course, we are forgetting that nearly every student out there has a phone, which is more than capable of doing the video. So I do think that, for most students, if it's not their own device, then a Chromebook's a very good solution. Because they're just easy to use. I think for the older students, I think if they have their own device, they should get the right to choose. And I think for younger students, I think the iPad is still a very powerful device in terms of the amount of content and everything it can deliver, right?
Definitely, Clips on the iPad for video editing is super simple.
Yeah, I mean, the video editing on that is fantastic. But also, because younger students in particular, writing is a real challenge for them, and even typing can be a challenge, but speaking, things like Puppet Pals, it really unleashes their creativity. So I think it's horses for courses, of course, but I do think that those Chromebooks really do cover the majority of stuff you need to do. They're relatively cheap, relatively simple to administrate, and allow you to do the basics.
I was wondering about that. It seems like Chromebooks are, you can, for the premium versions, you can pay a good bit, but a lot of functionality can come pretty affordably, it seems like.
Yeah, that's true. So interesting. Interesting that the three of us all had 3 quite different answers. I also do use Windows 10 at school, and I have to say Windows 10 is also superb. So operating system choice isn't as much of a pain as it used to be. Except if you have to flip, it can be tricky, especially when you have to do it in the same lesson. Then that's
I would
fun.
have one more question to teacher-wise. We have a Chromebook, as I said. But we have also a PC in the classroom, which I have full admin rights to. And in the school I worked before, I didn't have any admin rights, and could not even get basic programs installed like Etcher. So we could never play around with bootable sticks, for example. And the question to you is, what experience did you have with admin rights or rights on your?
Our school works on a trust basis. That those of us teachers that are highly able can use the admin rights, but on a you break it, you fix it basis. Largely, I mean, they will support us if I do something truly terrible. But if you are a more basic user, not a power user, then admin rights are not handed out. Then the tech guys, and that seems to work for the Macs, because I think those people that do need more careful supervision, they can have what's given to them. But those of us that change apps and choose apps and do programming and need access to the command line and everything else under the sun, then we also have that ability. So I think that's a good compromise. Because I think that some teachers will happily download whatever rubbish they find on the internet.
Oh, yeah. I just say torrents. We have Gabriel who joins us now.
Oh, excellent.
May I let him join?
Sure.
Gabriel, hi.
Hey guys, it's going.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Bangkok.
Okay, you were so
sunny,
polluted
Bangkok.
Yeah, what's the air quality index at the moment? I don't know, actually.
Well, this morning we had to have all the children inside because it was at 150, so it was unsafe.
Oh dear.
And there's this new craze going on where the children are buying these bracelets, these necklaces, and they have like a like a thing that basically purifies the air around their head. I don't know if it
God.
works,
Didn't
but it's like
somebody
this
on the
collar.
show told us about them before? I don't know who it was. Eric, wasn't that
Yeah.
you?
I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah, it was
sound too
me,
familiar,
yeah.
but it sounds like an
Yeah.
interesting moneymaker.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
Bangkok is hovering around the 150 level at
So,
the
Gabriel,
moment.
it's funny that you're right here now because I know you're an iOS lover, and we have just talked that for video editing, the Chromebook basically is very far behind the iPad. Even if your Google Cup looks fancy now.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
didn't
just
miss
did
it.
I just did like an iMovie with our students, and they did a Google slide presentation, and then they used the camera app on their iPad in order to do a little video, and then they exported that into the iMovie. And iMovie has like the very basic um, editing software, and so it's very simple and very user friendly. And the good thing about iPad is that the iMovie lives on the iPad. The Keynote lives on the iPad, so you don't need any logins. You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need passwords. You don't need emails. So that is one of the advantages that iPad and iOS has. So if I wanted to use, for instance, Adobe Rush, which I've learned how to use, like the children need to have an Adobe account, and then they need to put it into their Adobe Creative Cloud. So it's these barriers that for primary children, it's just not that feasible.
Well, and I get even if you are working in a G Suite environment with the iPad, you can still just upload it to a Drive or Classroom. So there's no.
But the children have to have their own email, their own Gmail basis. So like for our year 5 and 6s, that they have their own like Gmails, but for like the younger, like years 4 and below, they don't have their own Gmails.
Yeah.
So that's
Is
one
there
of the.
a certain reason for that, or?
Well, technically speaking, they're not supposed to have a Gmail account until they're 13, according to like Google's rules. But the issue is that once you give a child a Gmail account, technically speaking, they can use that to communicate with the world. So you're creating a space.
Just to clarify that, Gmail accounts are available to younger users, but a parent is supposed to supervise them.
Yeah, they have to sign.
My daughter just had her 13th birthday, and it said, and now she's going to administrate her own account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the supervision in schools belongs to the admin, who has to ensure that traffic is kosher and safeguarded, and it can be switched off. So you can still have a G Suite account and even use Gmail internally, but not send emails outside. That is possible to set up.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Right now at our school, it's kind of weird because we only have like one person that's like a super admin. Like I've done the Google Administrator Level 1 course through Coursera, but like we only have like one person that's in charge of that, and it's something that like even the IT department has to get like upskilled, I feel. So I don't know how do you guys deal with that situation? Like, do you have like one person that's a super admin? Because there's only supposed to be like 2 super admins basically, and then you can delegate other like user admin. So how do you guys deal with that? Like, is it just somebody that knows about this stuff?
Ours is a little less organized. Yeah, we have a couple of people just by virtue. There are our school administrator types are actually super admins as well, and but then that there are our school administrator types are actually. I hear myself again.
Sorry, that is me.
Okay, yeah. So and we actually some of that super admin power is sort of dished out according to who has time to handle tasks more than somebody who's super well trained. So it could be better, I think.
So
do you guys pay extra? Do you get paid extra for that? Is that like an additional responsibility role?
Not in my school, as far as I'm aware. It definitely could be done differently.
So Gabriel, I don't know if you have ever been any user account admin or super admin in a G Suite school.
Not me. I've only done like the training course where I created my own domain, and I was able to see what a what a super admin can
But
do.
you still own that domain, isn't it?
No, because when you take the course from Coursera, what you do is you buy a trial domain, and then you don't renew, so you don't have to pay like the $10 a year or something like
Oh well, but it's worth the $10 to have a super admin domain on the G Suite. For
that. Really?
100, it's very sure because you have unlimited storage, as far as I know. Mr. Abela, can you confirm?
If it's an educational domain, yes.
I think all
So
training
if you,
accounts, though.
but
I'm not sure the
yeah,
enterprise in the private
Yeah.
sector.
No,
yeah,
this one was just
training.
created just for the course purposes. I mean, yeah, it was just
yeah.
created for the course purpose, just to
I mean, I
learn
know
the
they're
controls.
less generous in giving out
What
things
I
now.
wanted to say, dear Gabriel, is you can very easily create users by just uploading a CSV or an Excel
Yeah,
sheet
yeah, yeah,
file.
yeah.
Mm,
And if you know yourself a bit more around, you can download that and change things around and upload it very
Yeah,
easily.
yeah.
So
They
just
taught us that in the course.
user-wise, that is really not difficult. If
mm,
you need to be aware of how to name your organizational units, your OUs.
Mm.
But and then throughout the years, the admin console has been so blown up to an amazing amount of functions, which goes not only especially to Chromebooks but also the browser, for example. And
Mm.
but in normal day-to-day use, except from what happens regularly, is that you need to switch on services which get released newly, or maybe uh, tend to such a thing as the disappearance of G plus, or somebody getting new passwords. But
Mm.
usually that is really, in a school up to 500, I would say, can be done by a person. Maybe not if the person has a full schedule as a teacher as well. But
Yeah, but you don't want to tell that to people, you know. You wanna sort of say, yeah, it's a lot of work, you know.
Mm.
It's a lot of,
but
you
it
Yeah.
know.
is. I mean, it is a point for G Suite that it is not necessary to have uh, many people dealing with it. I mean, that's a
yeah.
selling point, isn't it?
Well, the problem with that is that when that person leaves your organization, like then it creates a risk, right? Because right
Yes.
now the person that's done this is now leaving, and
Mhm.
so like we have to think about transitioning and like who's going to take over that, and so yeah.
Mm. I mean, I think that's
So
one of the challenges with any administration role in IT is transition, and it takes really good leadership. And often, when it's schools, you don't have that technical leadership who understands exactly what those people do, and I think
yeah.
that is real pain. Hello, Seti. Nice to see you back. We've definitely
Hello.
not talked about any of your favorite hardware yet.
Don't worry, don't worry. I've been trying to follow on mobile. So
Mm.
yeah, just to chip in quickly, admins. The more super admins that you have,
Mhm.
the bigger of a headache you're going to give yourself.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I thought there was
limit
only
it.
I thought you could only have 2 super admins.
You can have
Not
as
true.
many as
You
want.
can
Yeah.
add as many admins as you want, and the more people that you have, the more cooks,
Mm.
the worse the food will get, because it
Yeah.
is.
If
It's
if it is well organized, then and
But
administrators should be.
even then, stuff happens. Like we have at our school, we've got 4 admins. Um, I'm probably the one that understands the G Suite side of admin the most.
Mm-hmm.
But I only go in to fix stuff that has happened because of a communication mishap. And usually that's the
Hmm.
thing, communication, because someone says, yeah, we need to do this. And then that's interpreted by someone else as, yeah, let's do it. For example, we were discussing pushing out an extension. Now, all our extensions had been disabled for our students. Now, what happened is one of the admins said, okay, we're pushing out an extension, block C, so we can, see the screens and things like that. What did he do? He turned all extensions back on.
Oh no.
So obviously we've got kids. Woohoo! All my extensions are back. it's a communication thing. So if you want to have control, and Chromebooks are amazing. Like I want to go back to that. They're amazing because the level of control you have and the ease of maintaining it, super easy. But as soon as you've put more than 2 admins in charge, now it's no longer easy anymore because now you've got all these conflicting things. And I mean, thankfully, there's a report function in the admin dashboard that you can see who's changed what, and you can keep track of everything. And so that's very helpful because often they didn't mean to do anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just communication.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that 2 super admins is fine, and possibly 1 or 2 people back up in an emergency.
But it's good to have 2 because you do need accountability. Because what you can do in G Suite is if I wanted, I could go in and unethically read all your emails. Like there has to be some accountability, and that's why you need more than.
Yeah, just so you know, isn't there some kind of functionality in Vault or something that at least monitors when that happens?
Yes and no. It has to be audited, so you can audit everything another admin does.
So that's you have to run something.
Yeah, and you can set it up to automate. So for example, our domain automatically all the admins get notified of all the things that are done by other admins.
I want to say that we have to be very careful because we must not scare users that we have certain rights which we definitely don't. So
But we do have those rights. We just shouldn't use them. So it's
that's why it's good to have more than 1 super admin.
Exactly. And also that is something I think is often overlooked, and a lot of times people don't talk about this, is you have to be, it's all about your own demeanor. Like as a teacher, if you choose to hit a child, you can. We're not saying that you should not touch them. It's the same with the admin. The admin, if he wants to break into your inbox, he can. Should he?
Wait.
No.
The way I understood it is that
it depends on the situation.
Well, wait. The way I understood it is that, like, if you're an admin, what you can do is reset the password.
No,
and then that would get you access into their account to read their emails. No. But other than that, but they would get an email letting them know that their password has been reset.
So yeah, it sounds like there's Seth saying no, that's not necessary.
I mean, that's what I get. That's
because we have it written into our acceptable use policy for students that as long as their device is enrolled into our school domain, if there is any
you mean the students, not the teachers?
Every user. We don't do it.
You would need to know like the password of the teachers.
Sounds like that's not true.
Gabriel, you don't. See, even James is with me on this. If I wanted, I could go in. Should I? No.
But wouldn't they get a notification?
No, they don't. They don't know. All the other admins know, but the fact that I can do that is important. We're talking about a school. So everyone using a school domain, a school account, a school device has signed an acceptable use. If there is a matter of security, safety, let's say there's a safeguarding issue, and I've been contacted by our deputy of safeguarding, and he said, look, all the legal things are in place. Can you do a quick keyword search for this? Is this, has this happened? Yes, I can go in, and if all the legal framework is in order, then yes, you can go in.
So is that a setting by domain?
That's a domain-wide thing. So that's part of the Google Vault.
Okay, so some domains won't have that. Not every school is set up that way.
You have to turn on the Vault.
Oh, wait. So if Vault is set up, then you have that capability.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So the capability.
So wait, can you just do like a keyword search or can you actually read their emails?
I can do both.
Or is it just like a keyword search where you're like you put in a keyword search that says like happy,
and it searches
and then they'll say.
Yeah, but if my keyword is a blank space, then everything gets pulled up.
So you can actually read the entire email.
Yes, if I wanted to, I could.
Wow.
But that's
I think a lot of people don't know that.
No, but that's a huge selling point in terms of how safe our students are.
No, but I mean like that. I think like in the course that I took, like they didn't say that. What they said is that you could
This
know
is
like
very
how many
advanced.
emails
This is very
you have.
advanced stuff.
Yeah, like maybe it was because it was level 1, but in the
This
level
is
1, what they
beyond,
said
yeah.
is that you can know like how many like folders you have, or how big your G drive is,
Yeah,
or
you
like
can
how
see all
many
that.
like Google
That's all part
Hangouts
of
you've sent,
that's
but
part of your
not that you could
reports.
go into the physical emails
Yeah.
and read them. I don't think anyone.
Yeah, you need to look
did
at it. You have
Yeah.
your reports, right? Your reports give you usage data, and now we're going to move away because we're going to move on to hardware. But you've got your reports, and your reports give you information about usage. Then on Vault, what you can do is you can set up certain rules that automatically flag emails and block them from being sent. This is great for online bullying, any sort of safeguarding issues where certain content is scanned by machines, no human intervention, automatically prevented from being sent out or automatically blocked. You can also set it up so it's automatically flagged and someone manually goes in to check it. That's what we have. We have that set up for certain key phrases and keywords where it's flagged, and then we manually go in to check. You can also go in manually and just do a spot check. That is where it's ethically. That's very, very, we've made sure that we've had policies for our school in place that not only protect the admins but also protect everyone else from having to experience a ethically.
But do your teachers know this?
Yes, they've signed the acceptable use
signing
policy.
and knowing. Yeah,
No,
signing
we've
and knowing.
run. We do
Yeah,
training on this, and
but in the acceptable use policy, because I've signed an acceptable use policy, but I mean in the one that I've signed, it doesn't say anywhere that we have the power, the right, or ability to like search all of your emails and blah blah blah.
We say if there are any questionable legal grounds, then we have full access to your email account, and we can going through the correct legal procedures, we can scan, block, and enter your email accounts, read your email accounts.
I would also stress, guys, that this is not a unique feature of Google.
No.
For as long as I have been an adult, and for as long as I've been given a company email, the right to read my email has been my employer. So I have always used it for professional purposes. And I used to work for an intellectual property company, and I know my email was thoroughly searched. I know that the applications on my computer were thoroughly searched, because that is procedure.
And that's important because your school
very
device.
Naive if you believe otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. Your school account should be for school stuff only. If you use your school account to sign up for Twitter or sign up for Facebook, there's this blur, and you're no longer.
Well, that's been blocked, right? That's been blocked.
But like people do still use their school accounts to sign up for services, and then they get upset about that account being read. If it's a school account, realistically, Gabriel, there should be zero reason for you to worry that your employer goes in, because he or she is the owner of that account.
Yeah, but I think that the issue is that, like, for instance, I think a lot of schools or a lot of employers, they may not know that they A, have these capabilities, and B, they may, if they find out about it, they could be like, oh, let me try and do this, and maybe they haven't gotten the consent, right? So I think that that's the sort of thing
in many countries that consent is automated. I mean, in many countries, the right of an employer to read your email is already given. So it does depend on the law of the individual country. But
in addition to that, certain countries also require the schools, and as a matter of fact, the country we are in, our school has to keep firewall data on everyone for at least 3 months. So if they were to come in tomorrow and they say, give me all the data on James Abella, then I have to provide that data.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's pretty minority report here now.
Well, I really think it's funny how we drifted into the.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Privacy and scary.
Next topic.
But it is important for me to say that I have been working with admins before the term super admin was even coined, and in my career, most of them have acted rather integer and did not lash out, nor did they boast with any of the abilities
I agree with you.
there
I
are.
fully agree with you, Ralph. It's important to be aware that it's there. However, that's part of the reason why I said limit your number of admins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I thought in the
Vet
course they said you could
vet
only
your
have two.
admins. Yeah, but vet them thoroughly. Before you make someone an admin, vet them because
But
they will.
there's different kinds of admins. Like there's like the user admin, and then there's different
Well,
levels of
we
admin.
are we
So
are
you don't
only
need to
talking
give
about the
everyone super
super
admin.
admin. No, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you can set up somebody as a Vault admin only, or that they can access Vault without super admin rights. You need super
I
admin
mean,
rights.
if you are the super admin, you have all of the
Yeah.
powers. That's the nature
Yeah.
of a super admin, and that's always been the way it is. Just to confirm that I've just checked, in Malaysia, employees have a right to read all of the emails that are at your domain. So, if you have a Hotmail or a Gmail account that's outside of the domain, it becomes more questionable. But when you write an email, for example, at my school email address, I am representing the company, and the company has every right to read every last little bit of it.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that's Malaysian law. Thai law, I think, is even more in the favor. So you'd have to check your local countries or states in the case of the US. But I would always lean on the side of assuming that your employee can and has the right to, and probably put it in your employment contract if they don't have it by automation.
And this, I mean, this all comes back to the digital, being digitally literate, and that's the importance of us teaching our students as well. One example, for example, when I'm leading boot camps, and we're training people to get certified, the first thing I tell them is get certified using your personal account. Do not certify your school account, certify your own personal account.
Yeah.
And that's as basic as it gets. You would be surprised at how many people actually go through the entire application process using their own school account rather than their personal account.
But technically speaking, but wait a minute here. If your school's,
you should be able to transfer that.
But what if your school's paying for your course and your school's giving you the time off?
That needs to be in your contract. That depends on the arrangement. The same can be said for certain schools. Some schools where you work, everything you make belongs to the school. Every teaching resource you make belongs to the school.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
My school, that is not the case. At my school, you own the copyright to everything you produce. You need to check your contracts. You can't just assume things. You have to check the contract.
Yeah, but I think that some schools, like, I guess, are not as digitally literate as as perhaps your school is. I think a lot of schools, like in the contract, it's written by legal departments that perhaps are not as versed in.
But that's why these streams.
Law.
That's why these streams are so important. Because the people watching this stream are teachers, and those teachers, if they are unsure, they should just ask. Just ask. I was watching this thing, and I was wondering, whenever I create materials, do these belong to me or do these belong to the school?
I assume that it would belong to the school because you're using their equipment and their time.
But you're assuming
it's actually a case in
your
our school where there are documents in PDF form around, and other people would like to use the design because they like it and change the thing, but it isn't possible to change the thing because it's PDF, not in a way that you can even access it. Some PDFs you can like open with Acrobat or another PDF.
I mean, there are many ways to get around things like that if you have the design skills, but those people with the design skills can probably make their own without any further difficulty.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
You do have to check your contract, and I know in my case, if it's made with school equipment in or out of school time, then they have some claim to it. So fair is fair.
Yeah, but but I mean, like, to be fair, like most of the things that you create as a teacher are like a PowerPoint or like a worksheet. It's like you can easily take that on a flash drive, and it's like as long as you don't publish it online, it's like it's never going to be
Yeah, but
seen
there's other
again,
use
really.
cases. For example, we've developed an entire digital citizenship curriculum for our school. That was designed as a collaboration between 3 teachers. It was designed for our school. That belongs to our school. That is our school's curriculum. If someone else asks me, can I have a copy of that? Well, that is then not allowed because I cannot freely share that because it is specifically designed for our school. If that was something that I made myself at home because I have an interest in it, then yes, I own the copyright. It is not made for the school. It's not made as part of our school development plan. I can now sell this online. So it does have.
When you talk about selling it, but I'm talking about like if let's say I'm one of those 3 teachers and I just decide to like take that curriculum in my flash drive, go to my next school, and then use like portions of that, for no commercial purpose or reason. Like
it's all a gray area, and that's why policy writing is so important.
And also the other thing is that a lot of teachers aren't paid for that development time.
Yeah.
So in many countries, unless you specifically pay by the hour for that development time or for that job, then actually it's actually quite difficult to claim it on the teacher.
See, that's another thing.
If the teacher didn't get paid overtime or whatever, that's why most employers keep it grey, because they're not that willing to pay the money to do the hours.
To go back to that example of that curriculum for digital citizenship, we were given time during our school hours and during our staff meetings to develop that. That was school time. We didn't go home and do that.
Why don't you just take it from common sense? As a common sense educator, they have a fantastic digital citizenship curriculum.
Because one size does not fit all.
But common sense does offer an excellent medium, and I think it's a good start place. But from my experience of teaching in Thailand, I would not be using the materials from Common Sense with that cultural background. I'd probably get away with it in Malaysia.
We use some of them. We use some of them, but our curriculum takes materials from everywhere and sort of combines it in a more realistic package. But Common Sense has amazing resources, and I would say Common Sense is a brilliant resource to share with parents. It's not hardware, but it's good for parents to be aware of it, because too often still
How do we
hear...
get to that hardware now? Do I need to...
Well, I've just had a light bulb moment. Okay,
what's that, Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, I've got various gadgets lying around. So one of the things we're quite interested in is electronics, and there's a Lego thing, I think, going around. So, Sethi's disappeared.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you
bandwidth issues.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is the micro bit. Now this one here is a brand new one that I have not ever used. So you're getting a free unboxing video, which I'm sure in the real videos they're a little less more polished with this, or got better nails, I suspect.
Where's your special knife and your?
How much do these things cost?
Well, they cost about 5 or 10 UK pounds, and they're fairly available. But this one came in a nice little package and has a few little bits with it. But this is definitely the cheapest. But let me show you what is inside.
If you're interested, Gabriel, I can give you a local contact that will.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Throughout Southeast Asia.
If you give me the contact, because that could be good for my coding club.
Yeah, I'll give you a contact.
So far, I've not used it for too much, but what's good about it is that because it's made by the BBC, there's a lot of resources, and it seems relatively easy to play with. So the micro bit, I think, is your beginner's guide, and the stuff you can do with it almost straight out of the box, isn't it, Sethi?
Oh, I love it. They actually have a game installed on it already, so you can demo it.
Yeah.
Well, they should have it.
I did manage to use one the other day, and I did get some coding out of it, and I think that's a good place. And it does come with a little bit of Bluetooth. So what I like about that is it's getting that physical computing absolutely started, and I think that's a really nice place to start. because there's quite a lot of resources already made. It's the shallow end of the pool, and you can afford to buy, 10, 20 class packs to a thing. And it does get them thinking about, well, what is this electronics and what's going on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we had them
the baby one.
one-to-one in our old school, and I love to have a physical thing to play with. But besides trying some Scratch parts out, you can integrate it into Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bought this little robot setup,
Mm-hmm.
which has another motherboard here behind, which is about the
Mm-hmm.
same price with a big
Mm-hmm.
battery pack and
Mm-hmm.
2 servos.
Mm-hmm.
But I intended to use it like a B-bot or
Mm-hmm.
to code with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I only got to work is use it with a remote control app on the Android. So,
Sure.
but I'm sure if we had more time, or if I had granted just more time to the
Mm.
project in the class, we would have made more
Mm.
progress.
Well, I mean, one of the great things about Thailand is the availability of electronics, the actual ability to buy all sorts of little bits of hardware. That's one thing I miss about Malaysia. Now, it might be that it's all available in Malaysia. I've never found a supplier who's willing to, give me the bits and pieces in packs and ready-made for me. Whereas in Thailand, it's pretty easy to get all of these things, isn't it? Oh, Sethi's talking, but his mic is somebody shut his mic off?
Hello?
Sorry, that was me.
No, it's Sethi.
Sorry. No, it's incredibly easy to get all the electronics, and if they're not available locally, then they'll be available, via Lazada or any other way. Most are available locally, so you can order them today, and you'll have them in 3 days.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a matter of, you're working in your makerspace, you run out on a Monday, and by Thursday you have new resources.
Oh,
It's
that is awesome.
incredibly easy.
And I think Lazada is a bit of a lifesaver, and I think that's probably something I need to look into making
Hopefully
more
in
of.
every country
yourself.
there's something similar. However, not all Lazada catalogs go into electronics necessarily. You might get a lamp or a light or LEDs or a motor, but if you want special chips or stuff, you need to refer to RS, I guess, which are worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Element 14. I think has local representatives, doesn't it?
So in Thailand we have Gravitech, that's a reseller of electronics as well.
Okay.
Which actually
But you do need to buy those in bulk if you go to Element 14. Let me just check time.
I still have not found a single thing that I've not been able to get.
I was going to say Lazada will do most things.
When it comes to electronics, it's either local resellers. They have lots. I mean, it's really boomed in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
The Thai government has been pushing robotics and
Yeah.
electronics and coding. They've really been pushing it. And so obviously Thai schools have been doing a lot of robotics, and now everything is available everywhere.
No, it's brilliant. And as I say, Element 14, I just checked, does have a Thai website. So even if you wanted something really specialist, I think you could get it.
So there is this, what I was showing here in the screen, the Lambda board, which is similar to the Uno.
Okay, yeah.
Uno.
The Uno is this one, but I say I know Thailand has local equivalents.
And as Seti just confirmed, it fits well. You just need to use the same tools you use for the Arduino Uno standard, and these work just fine. I haven't done sadly too much with it, but it's exciting to see that we have different currents here. And digital and analog outputs.
Yeah.
And you can really let your mind go free. Yeah. What kind of
I think the only
you want to have.
It looks very similar. I reckon it is almost. Is it almost because it is open? Oh, it's exactly.
Yeah, so of course, the only thing that sometimes when you do get these generic ones, because we've bought a lot of different ones and they all work, but they do sometimes take a little bit of debugging to set up because you have to select the correct ports and the correct boards. Sure. So some are based on the Uno platform, some are based on the Mega. So you do sometimes have to just quickly type it into Google. There's usually a YouTube video or a guide that's already figured it out for you, and then you just set it to the correct ports, and you're good to go into IDE.
that
Oh,
was
very good.
400 baht, so less than
Less than £10.
less than £10, less
Yeah.
than $15. I would have said. I'm not sure if that was
Something,
also.
yeah, not expensive at all. And the great thing is that because they're at this kind of price, they are things that students can afford. The next thing I'm going to show you, for those
But
who are into
wait.
electronics, is the breadboard that
You
goes with these
need
things.
what you need is just also cableware and
Yeah.
cables. So and breadboards, and a breadboard is a thing like this,
Hmm.
which quickly explain for the users who don't know. I'm not sure if I can make this clear. Here you see the outer two lines are supposedly load and neutral, or plus and minus, if you want to say. And so the outer lines are connected all the way through from the bottom to the top, and also on the other side. And but they are not connected. Yeah, these outer sides are not connected. And then these 5 or 6 dots here in the middle are connected to each side of the row. So you have this loudspeaker which is connected to one port here and one port on the other side.
Okay,
And,
but that's something you've added to the breadboard, isn't it?
Yes, that is something I added.
Yeah, a plain breadboard just helps make the electronics a lot easier to do and take things in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so moving on to the next one. So we've got Arduino, and this is the one you want to do your electronics, but it's a little bit basic in terms of its computing power. Now I know SETI had tons of these as well. So this one here is a Raspberry Pi. Now electronics wise, it also does have some electronics. Oh, yeah, if you see that. Now you can connect the two together using the USB ports and things if you want
Doing
to.
what? I
Well,
done that before.
the difference is that the Raspberry Pi is a fully powered computer, so you can actually use it as a computer, which provides a lot more power, including it has this new Raspberry Pi 3 has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, which means you can connect it up and it can be a headless computer anywhere you like.
RetroPie all the way.
Yeah. And you can play many video games.
I actually played
RetroPie.
one.
That is how I won every single student over.
Yeah.
Literally, like, okay, well, what can we do with this Raspberry Pi 3? Well, now that we have the 3, we can install RetroPie.
And you know what? The thing that those students love to do is they buy the Super Nintendo controllers, they go on Lazada, and they look pretty impressive by the end. And they say, well, you know, the whatever Nintendo thing was this much, and now I've got this with every game under the sun on it.
And the Raspberry Pi 4, the new one, is even more powerful.
Well, the Raspberry Pi 3 can play games about to the standard of a Nintendo 64. Now, we do obviously only recommend that you back up games that you already have.
Definitely, yeah. Otherwise, it would be illegal.
Yes.
Not if you play them online with the Date Wayback Machine. What's that site?
Actually, that one might be sued.
Archive.org is okay.
But they don't put the Nintendo games or anything like that on there.
Date Me Back is okay. The only one that is fully legal is when you go onto the Internet Archive, you'll find old MS-DOS games and like Prince of Persia and the old Aladdin. And like I've shown in my last video, that's fully legal because they are now in the public domain.
Yeah.
Cool.
And as I say, the people who made the computers for those computers actually said, yeah, it's okay, and they've shared. And in some cases, the copyright holders have their businesses have finished. So there you go. Right, so that's 2 devices. The Raspberry Pi 3 is that bit more sophisticated because it is a mini computer. But at this price, it means you can put it in places you wouldn't put it elsewhere.
Just
What's
one
the
thing
price?
I'd like.
About $50 US.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
So
That's not bad.
And it's dropped now because the 4 is out.
So if you, for example, have expensive, the other reason that they're useful is if you want to do programming, again, you can hack them to pieces and not too worry because you can wipe them pretty easily. If you have
Straightforward speaking, with Windows, you don't have any ways to hack much in the command line, and so you want to go to Raspberry or any other Linux stuff which can be loaded on the Raspberry.
If you have admin rights in Windows,
And
you are
by
just
the
as
way,
powerful.
the 3B model can directly boot from USB. Not all
Yep.
Raspberry Pi models can do that. So this Raspberry Pi 3 without the B.
If you
can't
can go
boot.
for the Raspberry Pi 4, that would be the best now,
Yeah.
because these models are just about
And
finished.
for any people who are maybe also interested in how to teach back-end setup of servers, that is perfect, the Raspberry Pi, because
Yeah,
it runs
absolutely.
every server any big server would run.
Yeah.
And you can have an SSH client to connect to it, so you don't even need a screen. You can even the Chromebooks have an SSH
Yeah.
client extension, which works fine. So what is beautiful and what I think gets a bit neglected in the programming websites like W3 Schools or CodePen or many of these amazing websites which teach you coding is you know how to code, but actually you don't know how the code runs, what environment you need to have installed to get it all set up. So that's
Particularly for servers. I mean, I think for desktop machines it's not a problem, but for servers, being able to play with the Raspberry Pis and the networking is impressive in terms of the opportunities you've got there. You can set up your own little networks and all sorts.
Well, you have a Wi-Fi connection and a LAN connection, so you can use it as a bridge server as well.
Actually, that's one thing I haven't checked in the Raspberry Pi 3. They do have still the Ethernet, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use it as a cache server or as a firewall or as what am I missing?
There you go, James.
Yeah, I was just checking. It just occurred to me.
One thing I would highly recommend, because we're all in Southeast Asia, get your heat sinks installed and get a proper case with some sort of ventilation, because it does throttle. It slows down significantly. And also, make sure
Is
you're
the
using
ventilation really needed?
It helps. It helps if you're going to use it for sort of heavy lifting. I've noticed that my Pis without the heat sinks and without the special cases don't function as well as my other ones. Also,
quite surprising, I must say. I didn't.
Also, make sure you're using the right power
It's true
supply.
Malaysia,
we are in air-conditioned rooms, so maybe it's not that.
If you're underpowering your Raspberry Pi, it'll still turn on, it'll still work. It just won't have the processing power. So that's often something that happens with students is they connect it to the wrong power supply. It turns on, so they assume everything's okay, and it doesn't quite perform to the standards.
Okay, so that's the Raspberry Pi. My final little thing that I've got, and again, hang on, I'm going to show you this unboxing video, brand new again. I know. Oh, this taking a bit more unboxing than I expected. So this one here is the Edison, and again, we found out about these last year. But what they are mini robots. But what's great about them is they can be programmed in Python or Scratch, and they get programmed through a 3.5mm jack. So they're really quite powerful, and they can go around. And they have a few little sensors, which is brilliant. And you can see they come with the Lego available there. I was trying to see if I could find the cable for it, which I'm sure is here somewhere.
That's a really funny way of sending the code to your device. It's sort of with the audio jack, and you can hear the signals being sent.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old days with the modems.
Or you can use the barcodes.
Yes, you can use the barcodes as well. So this is one we've tried because at the price point we thought it was quite good. The only trouble is, and I've realized this, the cable's inside. Oh, I see. So the cable is this to play with it. And you do need quite a few batteries. And that, I feel, is the real downside to a lot of these, is they all could do with rechargeable batteries built in. They need USB packs.
They have those. The Mindstorms have.
So these ones, but the price difference between the Mindstorms and this is incredible. These things cost a lot less, and they do a lot more out the box. Whereas the Mindstorms, you're costing 200, 300. I can't remember how much the Edison is, but it was pretty cheap. And they come out of Australia, but it turns out that they can send them directly to Malaysia without any problems. I'm going to shop.
Sethi, it looks like you might have your mic
Oh,
off.
sorry, I was muted again. Yeah. So they send them to
these
Thailand,
cost $49.
Yeah, and there is import tax on them.
Right.
For us. But I would also highly recommend checking out the Ed Create extension packs for the Edison. If you have Edison bots, those Ed Create expansion packs are well worth it. They use the same bricks as like Lego Technic.
Yeah.
But it turns your basic robot into a more advanced tool to introduce robotics.
Yeah. So that pack is available here, which I haven't opened because it's too many bits of Lego. But again, the expansion pack, you can see you can have robots and things. So, and it is basically Technic Lego, similar to the Technic Lego anyway. But it is compatible with actual Lego. So if you have Technic Lego around, you can just carry on adding and adding and adding. And it does form quite powerful Edison. Yeah. So there you go. That's the one. I'm definitely not doing that because that's asking for trouble.
Also, one thing I really like about the Edisons is that it has 3 IDEs, so 3 ways of programming it. It starts with a language that is very similar to Scratch Junior. So it is visual with a pictographic representation of the code, which is the Ed block. Then it has Ed blocks, which is the second one, which is like Scratch. It's a Scratch-like language. And then the final one is EdPy, which is using Python.
Yeah, and it is genuine Python. That's what really attracted us to them to have a play with. And I say, these are all things that we are learning as we go and playing with as we go. Now, my students independently have been doing quite a lot with Arduino. And again, in Malaysia, the feedback I'm getting is that if people want electronics projects and scientific projects, they're mostly using Arduino because they are the best in terms of their physical connection to electronic parts. But the Raspberry Pi provides a lot of extra computing power. And for example, if you had a weather station, the Arduino would allow you to put all the sensors together to record the information. But then if you added a Raspberry Pi to it, you could then make a website and push that out to the world. So that shows you the kind of computing power that you'd get. And like you said, you can easily turn it into a server.
For layman's terms, that is a very good description that for collecting data, an Arduino would do very good jobs. And for little gadgets like, let's say, multimeter, which gives us the data on a display, on a rudimentary display, voltages or amperage or something, or a sound meter, build a sound meter. Then you use Arduino boards because it will be stuck in that thing. It will need not much power. But if you want to present that to the world, or if you want to run scripts, then you need
that extra power from Raspberry Pi. And the other thing about Raspberry Pi is, as I say, if you're in a very locked down environment, you can put any keyboard, any mouse, any screen you can get your hands on these days, and you can use those Raspberry Pis to provide all the programming and that functionality that you need without distressing any technicians, because all they need to do is not worry about the network. Okay, just check that. Sorry.
Yeah, I have an admin complain to me that they would send broadcasting signals and clog up the network anyhow, but
Yeah.
I guess that's only if you have some network scan tasks running or something. And
Yeah, I mean, if you put it on the main network, then you have to respect the usual traffic rule. And yeah, I mean, but it's not going to flood the network any more than a mobile phone. You know,
well,
the only
probably not.
difference is the only difference is you might have the kind of kids who try and push that as much as they can. So that's good. So those were my bits of kit. Anybody else want to share any others?
Yes, I want to say something about this little device. Can you tell from afar what it is?
I can tell it's got a screw at the bottom. Can't
It's a
see.
lamp socket, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. That
And
makes sense now.
actually today, what we did today is build extension cords in our web development class. And my argument is we in the BC curriculum we have the innovation cycle of products. And so I wanted to see, first of all, really get their hand dirty with some hardware. And in Thailand, it's very mysterious that so many people are still very, very scared of working with electricity. And because of my background, I'm very confident to do this. So we built some extension cords today, and it took us 2 hours to make them work properly, and so I can give them out to everybody, check that they work and everything is tight enough. So what I needed was, in order to do the last check, is if the polarity is all correct, and I need a how do you call it, to see if the connection goes through.
A multimeter.
Yeah, but there's a certain function. Let me check.
An ohm meter to check
We-
for resistance.
We used the Arduino board, which I already said before. A continuity tester, it's called a continuity.
Oh, okay.
tester. And we used just the voltage ports of the Arduino here at the side, 5 volt, and went through the cable with a little beeper like this. It's cool. It looks a bit different. And then we had our continuity tester. And I think that is what all the hardware should lead to, that we have a certain understanding or a creativity in the student, that what is possible with these tools. Can we do that? Can we make an alarm on the fridge if it's open too long? Can we hook up a camera to a Raspberry Pi and make it our own remote camera surveillance thing? Yeah, home automatization is a big point with Raspberry Pi. So yeah, we have an amazing overview of hardware today, and we haven't mentioned these at all. That's it.
You know what? Maybe save it for next week. Let's see what we can do in terms of expeditions next week. That could
I think
be.
there's so
VR,
much
Yeah.
more.
I think,
VR
is
is
an
definitely
own topic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they just open sourced the whole thing, so the opportunities keep on growing. So not only have they open sourced the hardware, they've now open sourced a lot of the software too. So the mind boggles what people might come up with.
So Eric,
Yes.
with your new position now at your school and so much input, what will you spend your budget on?
Oh my gosh, I have the whole rest of this year as a very hardworking English teacher and department head to dream about what I'll do at that time. A lot of things to think about. Yeah, I want to bring my own approach to educational technology, and I'm sort of figuring out what that will be.
I mean, also do think about the needs of the teachers. Really, I mean, the stuff we've talked about is very much what we like to play with, and electronics teachers like to play with, but not necessarily what we'd recommend to teachers who are, perhaps struggling with even the more basic stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a sort of a sweet spot. It's like there's too basic or so basic that you cover it and it's all, there's no more need for it ever again. But then there's this medium area that that links the intermediary that links people to anything the slightest bit more advanced, that people kind of miss that step, and things that really aren't too far out of reach just stay completely out of reach.
Well, we found an incredibly powerful sort of introduction for like class teachers, not necessarily electronics enthusiasts, has been the Makey Makeys. So the Makey Makey is a very basic intro point, and we had a couple of teachers that were so excited about the Makey Makeys. We had them use them. I mean, they used them all the way down to year 1, and they were so excited about it that they were asking, "Well, what's next?" And so we then introduced them to microbits. It's a little bit of a step up, and now they're on board with that. So yeah, there's definitely ways to do that.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, cool. Makey is a great way to get people started, because they are fun, and I think as electronics goes, that there's nothing more fun than that, really. We've got a few around our school. I need to find out where they've disappeared to, actually.
Yeah.
They actually have a brand new platform now called Game Bender. Have you heard of that?
Okay. No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, if you type it in, Makey Game Bender, it's basically it's from the same people, and it's a way of now hacking games and making them your own. So it's
interesting.
Cool.
Another step up the invention gaming system there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. I think
I'm pretty sure that's going to be James's next purchase.
What's that, Gabriel?
Right. I'm gonna have to leave you guys because I'm at 5% right now.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, is that my screen here? Yeah.
Night.
See you later, guys.
See you later. Take care.
So now I shared the wrong screen. I wanted to share quickly, if I may, this little tab here. I hope that's the correct one. Yes. So if you see these bananas and the orange, and in the blurry background you can see a piano. This is just using the online an online website functionality, so you can play the piano. But I used this setup to let my students play Counter-Strike, Global Offense. So when the public was around and the parents wanted to see what is possible with Makey, we had that. But once the public was out, I let them play with Counter-Strike, and there was no mouse, and they just had to use these. So
nice.
There was a certain edge to that. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. I thanks for that hint about the new Makey thing. That looks really cool. Is it free? The platform free? Sethi? The Bender.
I'm muted again. I have only seen the demos. I have not played with it myself, so I can't answer that one. But I'm anxious to get my hands on one.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think we should have a look at that and see how it works.
It was a beautiful session. We went all the way to the responsibilities of a super admin.
Yes.
And, I was a bit scared, because I know, especially in Germany, there are so many people who are so scared of Google and say they will collect our data anyhow only. So,
again, I do think before we end, it's very important what James said. It's not just Google.
No, and actually what we're talking about are rights within the organization. This isn't Google collecting any of this data. No. This is your own organization. And before Google came along, people were just hosting their own server. And if it's your server and your employer, you can do whatever you like.
Yeah, but also it's not secret. It's not. No. Any super admin can see it.
Yes.
People. It's in the agreement, but also it's not even secret between admins. There's somebody in the world who knows.
There's no way to modify the reports. You can't delete any lines or anything, so that will stay there. And for anybody who doubts that, we cannot read out the password. That is not possible.
And I think what's also important to remember is that Google is under a lot of scrutiny, far more so than if you run your own private server.
And actually, to jump to what Ralph said just quickly, what I really like about the G Suite domain that you can.
Gary is here. Can we quickly say hello to him?
Hello.
Yes. Hello, Gary.
Are you walking on the beach? Hello, Gary. Say hello to the world. Okay. We should have warned him before.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
But he was part of it. We saw
Yeah.
him. We saw him. I think he's walking on a beach
It
somewhere.
was a Gary sighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't want to miss any show because now apparently it's between Gary and Eric as to who's
Yeah.
been on every show.
I've
That
been on every
counts.
show. Yeah.
Have I missed one?
I haven't missed one. I popped in for a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
fair
I
enough.
haven't missed one either.
Well, it's only me that is. I'm behind. I missed one. What can I say?
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
If I can just say, I want to give props to Ralph because I was supposed to do this one this week, and Ralph very graciously stepped in,
Mm.
No worries.
offered to take the Thursdays PD on the Thursday PD session over. So I just want to say thank you, Ralph. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that.
And to return the favour, you're going to do it next week now, are you, Seti?
I think we,
Next 2 weeks, in fact.
Mm.
as far as I know, the only technical limitation is the StreamYard limitation of only 4 videos from one account per month, I think.
Yeah, so 4 hosts, you can host 4, and then it needs to rotate, so there's someone else.
Okay. Well,
Oh, okay. So that's
Seti,
okay.
Also, props to you to still drop by and hijack the topic, because we actually love this about our setup here. We are so free, and
I expect someone else to hijack my topic if I do it. I
Yeah.
expect it.
What is your topic next week, Seti, anyway?
I don't know what's going on. Well,
So I can quickly
Okay.
read for you the topic. Next week should be Pimp My YouTube channel, which is very down
Oh, well,
in
that
your
seems
wheelhouse.
appropriate for Seti, yes.
Yep.
We'll
Okay,
try and offer you much help.
We'll see where it goes. We had, I think, very few on-watchers only, which might also be because we didn't promote much. So
I think it's definitely to do because the one that we had most viewers, we started promoting it the week before, so that was definitely.
Which one did we get the most views for? Do you remember?
last week was very good. I think we
last
should
week
go
was very
offline
good.
now and have a quick chat behind the curtains.
Okay. Bye-bye,
And-
everybody. Thirsty
Yeah,
Thursday.
it's great. Thirsty Thursdays, where educators quench their thirst for
Knowledge.
knowledge. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.